Brandon, welcome back to the show. How you doing, man?
I'm good.
Good.
I'm good. I'm ready for summer.
Yeah, me too.
It's been a long, cold week.
Well, this never happens to us. We're extroverts. We love going places and meeting new people and talking. But one of the things that I love about the Missoula podcast is we give introverts some mic time. They normally wouldn't get it. They're not going out and seeking to be around people. They're not the most loud and obnoxious, maybe that you and I can be at sometimes. But that's exactly who our guest is today. She has an incredible story and making huge, huge impact in the community.
I love getting the introverts behind the mic because like you just give them like a little bit of room and they just come out and they are deep. They are passionate. Some of the most amazing stories. And no, you're right. That's what happens in this conversation.
Our today's guest is Deann Cleveland. I've known her for many years and the spotlight is on her today, but she doesn't want it on her ever. But she's making an incredible impact with JJM, and we're really excited about her story. Listen up. You're going to be inspired. Deann, what brought you to Missoula from Missouri? No, I'm just kidding. From Mississippi.
From Mississippi. Unlike people in Mississippi and people in Missoula all think that I came from or am in Missouri. Mississippi it is.
What town?
Union, Mississippi is where I grew up.
That's like population like 2,000, right?
It is.
That was cheating.
Sorry.
No, Brandon's just a geography whiz.
2,000 people, your hometown.
Yep. So in my hometown growing up, it's one of those very southern places. I was related to most of the people in the town. Probably had the most Mayberry-ish upbringing that one could get these days. Not perfect, but
Where is Union, Mississippi?
it's in east central Mississippi.
Okay.
It's people don't really know anything close to it. Meridian, Mississippi would be the best.
Nope.
See?
Nope.
Jackson is about an hour and a half west,
Okay.
That's where I went to college and lived for almost 10 years before moving to Missoula in Clinton, Mississippi. But growing up in Union was great. I was involved in a lot of things in school. However, I was still very, I don't know if the word is shy because I would be around people. Maybe it is shy. I don't know. But even like into my senior year of high school, I was scared to go into the gas station or the grocery store by myself. I just like, most people. I don't know why. I don't know what made me so scared. So fast forward then to being here in Missoula, there's obviously a lot of steps in between there. College, physical therapy school, first job out of PT school, and then coming out here where I'm.
So walk us through that. You're Union, Mississippi.
Mm-hmm.
You said Clinton for college.
Yes.
Why Missoula, Montana? Like how?
Did you even know what Missoula, Montana was?
How'd you end up here?
I did not know about Missoula, Montana. So the church that I went to during college, I was really involved in the college ministry, and that church had a partnership with a church here in Missoula. So when I was in PT school, I got to help serve as an adult leader in that ministry. And we came out one summer, it was 2011, for 1 week to facilitate a vacation Bible school and a soccer camp at the church here in Missoula. And it was a great week. I remember thinking, this place is beautiful. I've always loved the mountains, even though I grew up closer to the beach. Mountains definitely drew me in more. So just seeing the beauty, experiencing the people that week was a great experience. And I pretty vividly remember getting on the plane and thinking, that was a beautiful place. I doubt I'll ever be back there again. And then I remember getting back and the pastor made just this silly comment of, as the team is getting back, he's like, Missoula looks good on you. And I just, kind of laughed it off. Like, because again, I had just thought, never going back there again. So then fast forward to 2014 and our then college pastor and his family moved out here to be the associate pastor at that church. I was asked to be the youth leader. And They also knew that Youth for Christ was hiring at the time for an internship. So it was a partnership between that church and Youth for Christ getting me out. The way that the Lord works, I still am a physical therapist. And there was a lady at that church who knew that Missoula Bone and Joint was hiring, and provided that outlet for getting a part-time PT job, because working for a nonprofit in a church doesn't exactly pay a lot of money. So I came out here on a 1-year commitment, and I thought it's going to be a great learning experience where I'd come out here, I'd meet new people, I'd learn some things, and I'd get to take those new skills back to Mississippi. I actually still own my house in Mississippi. I just rented it out because I thought I was going back to it. And then it was probably about 6 months in where I really started to realize, okay, God's doing more here than just a year. I wouldn't say it felt like home at that point. But I could tell there was something shifting inside me, which was challenging because at this point, my family and friends are all asking, "You ready to come back? When are you coming back?" And I didn't really know how to answer that at the time of, actually, I think I'm staying here. So I did stay past that 1-year commitment. The maybe ironic part would be the family that also moved out here from Mississippi. They were moving out here indefinitely. I was only coming for a year. After that year, they went back to Mississippi. Here I am into my 10th year here in
Wow.
Missoula. So
For our listeners out there that are unaware of what maybe Youth for Christ does, I think most people know what Bone and Joint does. Hopefully not too many people when you're rehabbing. What does that organization entail, and what did you like about it initially that kept you a little longer? And what is Youth for Christ doing in the community?
So Youth for Christ is specific for 11 to 19-year-olds. YFC reaches young people everywhere, working together with the local church and other like-minded partners
Is
to
that your
raise
mission
up
statement?
lifelong followers of Jesus. It goes on. It's pretty long. So in Missoula, what that entails is we have ministries of campus life and juvenile justice ministry, and our building that we're located out of is City Life Community Center, where we get to house other nonprofits and community events and things like that.
1515 Fairview here in Missoula.
That's
Am I right?
How did
That's
you know
good.
Am I right?
Geography whiz.
Geography whiz.
Wow.
Union, Mississippi to Fairview Avenue, Missoula.
I bet he could tell us exactly how many miles it is.
I have no idea. From here to City Life, 1 mile.
Okay.
And what has your role been with that organization? There's probably been a few of them.
So when I was actually hired as a campus life staff. Campus life is more of what people know as youth group, high energy, very extrovert oriented. And I did get to serve in that role for the first bit. It was not my wheelhouse, that's for sure. And our campus life programs, it's not just about the kids coming to us. It's about us meeting them where they're at. So going to the local high schools, whether that's during their lunch break, going to any sporting event, things like that. It's meeting them where they're at with the hope of having trusted relationships with them to introduce them to Jesus, because that's who it's about. It's not about Youth for Christ as a name. So at that time, we had our ministry that's called Juvenile Justice Ministry. It was completely run by volunteers, and our relationship with the detention center, which is kind of a base of that ministry in Missoula, was really broken. There wasn't good trust there. And I really felt compelled to that. It felt like that's where God was drawing me. And again, my upbringing, it's not because I experienced those hurts and traumas like those teens do growing up, but God had given me other experiences of, like, in high school was my first experience going inside a juvenile detention facility and just getting to see at that point my peers and interact with them. We went to a group home. And so just seeing these are real kids. Like we look the same, we act the same. They're just real. Why are they here? And then throughout college, I got to help with an inner city ministry that we did and some after school tutoring. And so got to see just, again, kids from harder backgrounds in those places and kept being drawn to that. I got to be a camp counselor at Kids Across America, which is based out of kind of central states, I think, where I was with 15 and 16-year-olds for the summer, girls coming from inner city. And again, just kind of getting a glimpse into the lives that they come from, which were very different than what I knew growing up. So my first job as a physical therapist actually then was in the school district of the inner city schools in Mississippi, where I had done the after school tutoring and that church partnership for all those years as well. So I didn't see God weaving that picture at the time. And then as I came out here and Josh Jones, our executive director, told me about JJM, it was kind of this side comment of, oh, like, and I guess we have JJM, but it's not really a ministry that we focus on right now. And so coming out, new boss, new place. I don't know these things. I don't know these people. And I just would keep saying to him, like, I really feel drawn to JJM. Like, I get that it's not something that's up and running. I get that I'm already in a tough place of transition and being out here, not knowing anyone besides that one family. Like, everyone is new to me. But I just feel like this is what God is drawing me to. And it took some time, and he allowed me to step into that role. So I officially transitioned from being a campus life staff to being our new JJM director. I didn't know what I was doing. Besides that one time in high school, I'd never been in any kind of detention center. But got to sit down with those volunteers who were still doing their best to hold that together and love those kids and learn like what the history is. And God just kept providing people and relationships in this community to learn and to get to step in and serve. And so
this is a huge, or not a huge, but a segment of the population that probably a lot of our listeners don't even know about or
Sure.
understand. There's this huge juvenile detention center over on Broadway. Is that
Mullen.
correct? Mullen, sorry.
Yep.
Close enough. There's just not like what I feel about that population is they're kind of sent and written off.
Sure.
And then here you and these volunteers are not forgetting about them, are trying to go in and help rehabilitate in a way. I can't imagine the struggle that's been over the years. What I'm interested in is like, how have you continued to not give up, I guess, is what I'm asking.
There have been plenty of days that I have wanted to give up. And to be quite honest, in my attitude, there have been times I feel like I actually have, where you just question, this seems so impossible. Is it worth it? Can we make a difference? Because these kids face so many things. Most of these kids who are in there, yes, they made bad decisions. And then you get to know them and you look at their life and you realize that so many generations before them have showed them nothing but drugs, crime, or they've just been absent. They just don't have anyone to show them how to navigate life. And so they do what they have to do to survive. Or they've been through really traumatic things and they are trying to numb the pain. And it, again, I was one of those people who I didn't know about this population of kids because they aren't kids that are in your face as much. Once you get to know them inside the facility, you do realize these are kids all around us every day. They are a part of our community. They're hurting and they need people to just show them basic things about life. I know, Steve, for a while, you were one of our mentors even. And that was a challenging thing. I think I remember you telling me a story about like you went to pick up the kid for an outing, and you had driven about an hour to get to his house, and he like then no shows you, but you see him like peeking out the door. And that's because like these kids, they haven't had someone who actually shows up when they say that they're going to. And that's at the core of it, a pretty simple thing for us to get to do is just show up. If God can use someone like me who doesn't know anything about that life,
Yeah.
he
Deann,
just
I
showing
love
up.
that you do that in your team and volunteers. Truthfully, it's a part of our community that I'm not real involved with. I think I'm aware. I know every time you drive down Mullen, you wonder what's going on behind those doors or what the stories are. But a couple of years ago, I had an invitation to speak in 4 different chapel services in Deer Lodge and the institutions around Deer Lodge. And one of the juvenile centers, I had an opportunity to meet a 16-year-old kid who was his 3rd day in prison for double intentional homicide of his parents. And going in there to speak, and I'm just at a loss of like, I don't even know. I have no words. I don't know what to say. This 16-year-old will never see the outside world again in his life. And I'm often reminded of that whenever I'm driving on Interstate 90 past that exit of that kid in that story. And so to hear that there's a team of people right here in our community who are fighting against that, trying to help these kids with stability and decision-making and mentorship to prevent long-term tragic endings to a life, I applaud. Again, I'm not as involved, but Stephen, you've mentored, but I think it's incredible that we have a team, juvenile justice ministry here in our community that is investing in a part of our society that's a bit ostracized.
Yeah. I bet, do you feel often that you are taking the role of parent in their lives? And not that you're saying that or trying to parent them, but you're giving them the tools that their parents neglected to give them. Does that sound fair to say?
Yes, there's so many life skills. And so in that regard, that's the role of a parent, is teaching your kids life skills at every level, right? Emotional, social, any kind of just, I don't know, balancing a checkbook. Is that a thing still? We don't teach that. We've done like resumes with kids, how to just show up for work. I'm not a parent, so maybe you guys could speak more to that, of a little bit deeper into that dynamic. But there have been kids who, there's one in particular, met him when he was 13, locked up. He's now, gosh, I think he's 21. I just got to talk to him a couple weeks ago. But he's a kid that at one point in his journey asked myself and another staff if we would consider adopting him. And I think that does go to your point of, because we were people who were showing up for him, and trying to teach him things that no one else had taken the time to do, that to him, he thought this must be what a good parent is like.
I by no means am an expert in parenting. Stephen, you are. I learn a lot from you. But I think it's one of the things we often hear in these conversations, that an above average parent is just present, just is there, just shows up.
Yeah.
Like we keep hearing that over and over. And I just wonder, so many of these kids, where their life would be today. Just had a parent that was present in their life.
Yep. It would make a huge difference. And I think part of the encouragement for me in what we get to do as Youth for Christ, because we can't take over that parent role. However, one of the things I've learned in my years of experience is that all it takes is one caring adult outside of your family, actually, who again just shows up and is consistent. Not someone who's perfect, but that's all it takes, is that one caring adult to help break those cycles. And that's really not just within JJM, but Youth for Christ as a whole, as we do try to reach our community of teens in Missoula, is to help break those cycles, whether
Right.
they're kids who know crime or not.
Yeah.
Like they might come from a picture perfect family, but they still have needs as a teen. They need mentors. They need support.
It takes a village
It does take a
for
village.
everyone. And
Yeah.
I've learned that about, my daughter, and Brandon, about your children. We can't do it alone. And why would anybody else's families be able to do that?
Yeah.
You alluded to it, my volunteering a couple of years ago, and I got so discouraged by that specific situation. So I'm wondering how you face that discouragement, because you probably have some really cool stories of, like that kid that wanted you to adopt him. You talked to him, he's 21 years old, maybe he's doing great. But you've also had other stories where you kept showing up, and nothing changed. And I think that's where I fell flat on my face and was like, this is hopeless, and gave up. But you've continued the fight. How?
That is a great question. I am grateful that, just like I talk about the needs in these kids, that there are people in my life who show up and support me. And I am so grateful that God has provided those people for me in Missoula. So that's been huge. My adopted Missoula family and the ways that they just take me in and love and support me has been great. And it's also, I myself have been in that boat plenty of times where I just say, I think we should give up. You look at brain development and things like that, and we know that brains aren't fully developed until like mid to late 20s. And so I'm like, maybe we should talk to them when they're like 27.
I mean, Stephen and I aren't incarcerated, but we talk about giving up all the time. So, I mean, I get it. Deanna, you from Union to Clinton to Missoula, kicking off juvenile justice ministry. Your role has changed here in the last couple of months. Talk about that. What are you doing now? What's your area of focus with Youth for Christ?
So I am now our community engagement coordinator.
That seems more fun.
In ways it is.
Okay. Yeah.
Less rewarding, more fun?
No.
Okay. Well, tell us all about it.
So there was definitely a place for me there was a lot of burnout in my life, honestly, with JJM because of those years of discouragement for me as well. So I'll be really honest that is the place that started my call toward that community engagement coordinator position, was just realizing how burned out I was. I still loved those kids and I still knew that they needed people. And I was at a place where I knew that I was not that person anymore. Not the person to be able to show up with my best, to give them my best, to trust and hope for better things, in the day in and day out, deep down inside of me. That's still there because I'm still with Youth for Christ and believe in the mission and vision as a whole. And a large part of that does include JJM. So as our community engagement coordinator, it's a little bit of, I get to figure it out on my own. So there's some fun in that because even Josh, my boss, is like, I don't know, just, I kind of can do my own thing as long as I'm, still working, doing it well. That also provides a headache when I don't have a ton of guidance in where I'm going. As the title suggests, it's really engaging the community to help let people know, advocate for the youth in our city. There are needs.
So you get to go on like podcasts and do some really cool stuff.
I get to go on podcasts.
Awesome.
I get to speak at churches because as Youth for Christ, we're a parachurch organization, meaning we partner with lots of local area churches. And again, whether that's, we're not just trying to bring everyone into Youth for Christ because as one organization, we can't impact every youth in our city. But I feel like we have some pretty good training and awareness of just youth development and things like that are more, or that are deeper than just kind of your normal realm of what does a teenager need?
Yeah.
And so we also love to just help train local churches and how they're reaching their youth.
Cool.
So how can we support churches as they support their youth? So getting to do that, and then also trying to just engage our donor support. As a nonprofit, those people are very important to us. And I think a lot of times those donors aren't appreciated as much as they should be. And so I am excited about that aspect in my new role, to get to just thank the donors. And it's almost this aspect of just like, I want to see the kids as people, where normally people might just see them as a headline and label them as their crime. It's almost that same kind of thought process and caring of, that's how I want to care for our donors. Like, they're not just a dollar and people who give, but they're people and they have stories. And how do we help draw them in more to our mission and what we're doing?
Well, how crazy how this shy girl from Mississippi who's afraid to go into the grocery
Right.
store is now on stages speaking and community relations director. Seems like there was a bigger plan for your life than what you thought at 18 years old.
Much bigger. I would have never written this story myself, just because I would have thought, me?
Yeah.
No. And just, it's humbling too, to be welcomed into this community, knowing that I am a quote unquote outsider.
And you do it well. I've been to several events you've been a part of and have spoken, and never would have had a clue that you were shy or introverted. Like, you do your job very well.
Well,
And
thank you.
You've hidden your accent over the
I
years
have.
as well. Yeah.
I also say that I'm a disgrace to the South because I don't have a good accent.
Can you like turn it on and turn it off? Do you have? I'm not going to ask you to do it.
It would be really fake if I did it right now.
Okay, yeah, don't do it. Yeah, we want to be authentic.
I've been told though that if I'm talking to people from home, you hear it more.
Sure.
So,
Well, we're so stoked at what you're doing in the community. Obviously, you know, the kids and the youth are the next generation, not to be like a cliche, but I think everybody listening knows, or hopefully had that adult that poured into their lives in their teenage years, and they're so thankful for it, and they remember that person. You know, for me, it was a coach, and maybe for Brandon, it was a coach, or, you know, somebody had that. But we appreciate what you guys are doing and want to spread awareness. You know, if somebody's listening to this podcast, you're like, man, there's a place to serve. Where can they find more information about JJM or YFC? What's the best route to go about that before we get into our burning 5 questions?
I would say the best route is our website, which is simply yfcmt.com. There you can fill out a form if you would like to volunteer. So if you're interested in JJM, campus life, any of the ministries that we have, that is all there. If God has gifted you and is calling you to donate, there's also a give page there as well, where then I'll get to connect with people more. And we also send out a newsletter. And so that newsletter has prayer requests and just what's going on in the ministry. And that's a huge part of what we do, is having those people supporting us in prayer. So there are lots of ways to connect. The website would be, I'd say, the launching point for that. Or give us a call. Come to 1515 Fairview Avenue.
Yeah, just walk
Stop
in and be like, I'm here.
Brandon told me this is where I come.
That's the spot.
All right. Are you ready, Dee?
I think so. Can I tell you one quick story, though?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, whoa, Steven, slow down.
Yeah, this is her podcast.
Yes.
I'm just here.
Wow.
Yeah, tell us a quick story.
So the
love to hear
student that you talked about,
Mm.
that you were so discouraged, I don't know if I ever shared this with you, but several years after that, so he had moved to East Coast, and he was in communication with a kid who had gotten out of juvie and was interning with us.
Mm.
And all these kids are really like closely connected too. I found that. Anyway, he was telling this kid about how like he's going to church and he believes in the Lord. And so thank you for that investment that you did make. I'm sorry if I didn't share that story with you before this, but you did make an impact. And I think anyone in our community, again, just trying to show up with any youth that you know in your life, it does make an impact. And we might not get to see it. We might feel more discouraged about it, but you never know what will come in the future.
Thank you for that gift.
Thank you.
Great. So now I have to just come
Yeah,
in and just
sorry.
with that.
That was a little heavy. Now we're going into rapid fire.
questions.
Well, I'm sitting here
Yes.
crying.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. That's really cool to hear. I mean, it's so great to know that a small impact, even though it feels small and significant, and you don't even know that your impact is making a lasting impression, does. Like we never know. I just think that the recurring theme is just being intentional and being present with
Yes.
the youth in your life. That's something we can all do today. So with that, rapid fire questions.
Let's go.
Okay. All right. Deanna, you moved here to Montana. To Missoula. What is your earliest memory of Missoula?
Before I moved here, it was going to Glacier.
Going to Glacier.
Yeah, I made the mistake of wearing chacos. We hiked into Hidden Lake, the top of Logan's Pass.
Yep.
And there was still snow up there. So I was hiking in the snow in chacos.
Had you ever seen snow before that?
I had seen snow, not that much.
Okay. What's your favorite coffee shop?
Good Americano, hands down. They make an Americano with real peanut butter in it.
What?
Wow.
It's delicious.
How do you order that so I don't look like a fool?
You order an Americano with peanut butter and vanilla.
Nick, we need to start like keeping track of these and like updating Missoula on like these because
Good
Good Americano
is up there.
and Copper Mountain are the two that we are hearing the most. Peanut butter and coffee.
I don't know about that.
If you like peanut butter and you're not allergic to it, you should try it.
If you are allergic to it, try it. Like, wait, say an Americano, and then you order it
with peanut butter and vanilla.
with peanut butter and vanilla.
Okay.
I feel like you're setting me up. I'm gonna go order it, and they're gonna look at me like,
Okay. This isn't a sandwich shop.
yeah, okay, Americano, peanut
I'm
butter.
sorry I didn't come prepared and bring them to you
Okay.
guys today.
That's okay.
Deanna, what's your favorite restaurant in Missoula?
Montana Club.
Ooh,
What do
Which also actually, okay, my earliest memory wasn't actually Missoula because I was in Glacier.
I didn't want to point that out, and I was letting
Sorry.
it slide, but
Sorry for avoiding that question.
favorite-
might
okay,
be at
earliest memory
Montana
in
Club,
Missoula,
actually.
Montana Club.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's your go-to order?
The reason I like Montana Club is because there are so many things on the menu and I change
Their
it up
menu is,
almost
like,
every time.
An inch
Huge.
thick.
Yeah.
It's-
Okay, so you like options.
There I do.
What zip code do you live in?
59804. Sorry, it was hard because I have a PO box and it's a different zip code.
That's 5906.
It
The
is,
zip code there.
but
Yeah,
I don't
so
live there.
You don't live in your
That's a good point.
PO box
That'd
59804.
be kind of difficult.
Missoula has this catchphrase of "Keep Missoula weird,"
hmm
especially downtown. You see the bumper
Mhm.
stickers and the signs and windows. What to you is one of the weirdest things about
Ooh.
Missoula?
Weirdest things about Missoula.
There's a lot.
There are a lot. I mean, can I just say downtown?
Downtown's weird?
Is
Yeah.
that-
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Downtown.
Downtown. Enough said. What do you love most about Missoula?
The people. I think
Mhm.
that's what's kept me here. The kids that I've gotten to know, the impact they've made in my life, and like I've already said, the people who have just taken me in and adopted me into their families. So I have what I call my family here, and I tell people, I introduce them as my family, and they're like, "Wait, I thought you weren't from here." I'm like, "I'm not." They're my family though.
It's awesome. For a shy kid from Mississippi, you did pretty good. Thanks for being on our podcast. You were awesome. Keep up the good fight.
Thank you guys.
Yeah,
Thanks for what
Dan,
you
appreciate
do.
you. And just to let you know, Union is 1,638 miles away. from Missoula.
Nice.
So
Now we all know.
awesome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you guys.